Good morning, it is Mike with Beyond Aesthetics, and recently I had a friend reach out and ask me, hey bro, what's your 5 steps to success? I wasn't sure what he meant by that and really how to answer the question. It kind of caught me off guard, and I'll admit it was actually kind of quite humbling because I would not consider myself any sort of definition of success, and that's probably because I would rank my definition of success against my current goals, which I probably infer towards my financial achievements, my business achievements, quality of life, social status, those kinds of things. And the type of person I am, I'm always going to have a goal, and it doesn't matter how successful I am. I don't think I'll ever really feel successful or edified to really speak on this topic. So what I think the question meant was, and this is based off a conversation he and I had, was, it seems like between being active duty in the military, having the fitness training business, I'm also starting an apparel line. I've got a wife who has her own career and is starting a transition into a second career. We have 2 kids. I have a third child from my first marriage who's a teenager with severe disabilities. So there's just a lot going on, and I feel that my life is really no different from most people. So maybe they perceive all these things that are going on, and they're trying to figure out how are you able to accomplish so much with everything that you have going on. So that's kind of how I wanted to approach it. And I've read a lot of self-development books. I've spent a lot of time in introspection. I really enjoy reading, philosophy and the Stoics, stuff like that, like Plato and Viktor Frankl and Dr. Stephen Covey. So I don't want this to be a 5 generic, feel-good things to make you, have no applicability to your life and you're not really sure what to take away from it. I hope to offer her a little bit of philosophy, but also some things to take home and actually apply, right? Because I think what I've found most frustrating is you can read a book and it all sounds good in theory, but how do you actually execute what is being said? So I hope to offer some things that I employ. And that way you could be, achieve a degree of success according to your definition of success and do much more with your time. So that being said, diving kind of right in, I felt like I wanted to break it down in these things, and this is not ranked in order, but this is how I'll speak on them. Is one, to begin with the end in mind. If you watch my videos, this is something I speak about frequently, especially when it comes to goal setting. Second is readiness, and for my military folks, that's gonna probably be a buzzword or a trigger word, but believe me, there's application. Communication, always the most important thing, but I'll talk about what that means to me. Balance, or at least the perception of balance, and then knowing yourself. So first, the end in mind. You owe it to yourself to define the life that you want to live, and not just what you think retirement's going to be or how you think life will look, in 20 years. I'm saying set aside 30 minutes, an hour this weekend, and get something to write on, and write down exactly what your life should be, how you want it to be. Like if you woke up and it was the perfect day, start there. What kind of bed do you wake up in? What color are your sheets? Describe the room. What time are you waking up? What's your setting look like? For me, I have this beach house mansion in Sanibel, Florida that I obsess over. And so I want to wake up and have the Spanish tile underneath my feet. Wake up, with sunrise. And the way this house is positioned, it's kind of on this peninsula almost, where you've got the sunrise and the sunset on the property. So that's how I want to wake up. Windows, floor to ceiling windows in the bedroom, and be able to walk out on the balcony and enjoy all that. That's my perfect day. I can get into, or perfect morning. I can get into how the perfect day is spent, but that's just kind of the starting example, the level of detail I want you to go into. And then the second thing is defining your legacy. And again, I think people have an assertion of their values and what they feel that they want to represent and leave behind, but The book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Dr. Stephen Covey, has an exercise to follow along. And so I encourage you to do this. It's called the funeral exercise. And to summarize, it's basically you are a third-party perspective in the corner of your funeral. And you literally write down what it is you want people to be able to say about you. And it goes through certain people in your life. What do you want your spouse to say? What do you want your best friend to say? What do you want your parents to say, your children, a coworker, and a mentor, right? Or just whoever's important in your life. What do you want that person to be able to say about you at your funeral? And this is going to direct and at least start to illuminate what your core values are, what things are most important to you, and then you can start aligning yourself with what you really hold true and dear, right? That exercise alone, again, if you spend the appropriate time being sincere and writing those things down, put them in a journal, and then reflect on those. And it might change. It might change with time. Maybe it's something you want to do every year. Set it in your calendar to revisit, and then make sure that you stay in line with those. And then, so once you've determined those two things, you can actually put a cost to that. So again, if my dream home, I know, last sold for $6.8 million. Okay, maybe for some people that's absurd, but okay, so what do I need to do to afford that house? Not I can't afford it. Go ahead and calculate what your life would cost, what the quality of life that you want, everything that goes into that. How much do you need to bring in a month, right? So let's say I need $38,000 a month to live the life I want to live. Now, what would I need to do to have that kind of money? And then you execute, right? So you have to calculate it, at least a figure. How much money do you need put away to live off the interest, or whatever your plan is, whatever business you want to own or however you want to work. And your quality of life and your legacy is not mine, so yours is going to be extremely different. But sit down and do the math. If you don't know the math, call me. Call a CPA. Get somebody that can assist you with calculating what the life is that you want to live and how much that costs. All right, moving on to factor number 2, readiness, right? Always be prepared, stay deployable. And what do I mean by that? So there's actually a joke that I divorced my ex-wife over leaving dishes in the sink. It's part of the story, I suppose, but that's how important it is to me. Like, if you have 2 sinks, one should always stay clean, because that way if you need to wash your hands or clean food or do whatever it is you need to do, you don't have to put the activity on pause to be able to clean the kitchen so you can do what you need to do, right? So when you have kids, I don't know how other parents do this, but I have to have my house clean. If I come home and the house is wrecked, mentally I'm in chaos. I cannot think, I cannot be productive if my surrounding is a mess. And my soldiers might know that, before we left for the day, everything got clean. If we came in the morning and somehow night shift messed everything up, before I can function, my desk needs to be clean. It needs to be organized. I can't be that person that has work spread out all over the desk. It's got to be identifiable and organized. And I keep everything that way. All right. I keep my garage squared away. I keep tools organized. My father is that type of person who will start a project and lose half his tools in the garage and can't find them for next time. I can't operate that way. Okay. My kids' rooms stay clean. Like, I keep the house in a point to where if I had to pick up and leave for an emergency tomorrow, I'm not in a panic. I can pack quickly because everything's clean and organized. I'm not worried about what the condition of the house is when I get home. It is amazing if you keep things organized and you are prepared for emergencies, how less frequent emergencies ironically seem to occur. So make sure that you have an adequate emergency fund. Get your legal documents in order. Okay, take the time to make sure that those things are done. Have your will updated. Make sure your spouse knows where all your accounts are and everything like that. Like, get yourself prepared for the worst case scenario emergency, and then update that as necessary, right? And then as far as your day-to-day, keep all that in a high state of readiness. To the point, I park tactically, right? Again, for my military folks, it's probably going to be funny, but if you have to hurry up and leave, the last thing you want to do is back out. You just want to jump the car and take off, right? So that's the mentality I approach everything with. If I can't pick something up and use it, then I'm doing myself a disservice. If I have to maintain it or clean it before I can use it, then what am I really doing to prepare myself for success in something I want to do? Next thing is communication, and everybody can hit on this, right? You hear about it all the time. Communication is one of the most important things. So, but this breaks down for me in two different areas. You have the external and internal, and both have equal importance, especially if you are married or have team members in whatever it is you're trying to pursue. So for the external, make sure that you're requesting the support that you need and that you're disclosing your intent. I think there's a lot of people that either don't fully disclose what it is they want to achieve. They're not honest in their communication. I think that's something that I've always prioritized and people appreciate about me, is that I am, everyone says they're brutally honest, but really, are you? I am probably more harsh towards my spouse when it comes to honesty. And, some people would probably say it's a bad thing, but at the same time, I have nothing to hide. Like I try to make sure that I disclose that, hey, this is not personal. This is just an observation. This is how I feel about it. I'm being completely honest and transparent in what I feel, right? As soon as you can be that honest, you can establish shared understanding and you can have crucial conversations so that, and this is not saying that you being brutally honest is going to be the driver in what the decision maker is. It's just a matter of expressing yourself. And then the other person has the option and the confidence to be able to do the same thing and has the safety and security in doing that. Your team will be so much better when everyone can create shared understanding, can openly share their perspective and concerns. And then frequently, kind of assess as a team. Get together and really establish where you're at. So, importantly, as a family, right? If you both do the funeral exercise and then you talk about it and you determine what the legacy is that you want to have for your family, and then you actually discuss that. Do you have those discussions as a couple, as a unit? I'd wager that most don't, at least not to the degree of emotional and relational depth that the potential has for that, and how powerful that is. I challenge you, if you're married, read the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and both of you, and then do the mission statements as a family and see how enriched your life is, your marriage is, and then just how much more clear you have, the clarity that you have operating as a unit, right? But then communication also is internal, and a lot of people don't give this enough attention. And I am huge on disciplining the subconscious. Are you aware of where your thoughts go when you're bored? Are you cognizant of how your energy, your chi is spent, right? Like full disclosure, I'm a guy, and like most guys, I am sexually motivated. Like I will be distracted by something I want to go pursue, right? Or something that's just distracting. Like I'll be reading, and if I see an ad, sex sells, I'm probably apt to click on it, right? Like I know what will motivate me if I allow it to. Become cognizant of that, and then being able to redirect or focus that energy. So think about this. I'll just kind of relate to myself. The amount of persistence and energy I would put into the dating world, and like if there was a girl I wanted to pursue, a woman I wanted to pursue, the amount of attention and energy I could put in that to be successful in whatever it was I wanted to achieve. You take that same energy, that same kind of attention and focus, and shift it into anything else and watch how successful you become, right? If you can learn how to manifest that, you will be unstoppable. But so at the same time, that requires a high degree of self-awareness and emotional intelligence. So develop yourself. You need to spend time developing yourself. You need to prioritize introspection. And that might require journaling, meditating, praying, whatever it is that you feel you will benefit from the most, and then assess, right? So go back to that legacy. Go back to the values that you determined out of that exercise and assess, are you in line with your core values, and is what you're doing today, this week, this month, moving you towards that. All right, so now it comes down to realistic balance. And this is really, I think, kind of the bigger takeaway when it comes to applicability. So the last slide was probably more about philosophy. Now let's talk about realistic balance. P.S. There is none. There's no such thing. If you want to be successful in anything, you have to realize that balance is a farce. What you think about, what you prioritize, what you obsess on is what deserves your attention and is going to be successful. That which measures gets improved. You have to start being selfish with your time. Maybe it's worth an experiment of writing down how you spend your time in a day and in a week, like in 5 to 15 minute blocks, and divulge, or at least become transparent to you, how much of your time is spent in non-productive, invaluable activities. All right. And this is really going to feel like it's aimed towards entertainment, amusement, socializing. If it does not bring you closer to your objectives and your goals, and if it does not align with your values, you seriously need to consider if it's something you want to keep a part of your life. And this could be relationships, this could be activities, this could be hobbies. You know, there's so much pressure. Like, don't get me wrong, I want to go golfing with the guys, I want to go sit at the bar on Thursday and watch football, but at the end of the day, it's okay, that's 3 hours, that's 6 hours of golf, that's something. Like, yes, I enjoy them, but what is the opportunity cost? What am I not being able to accomplish? What else could I do with that time? Now, I'm not saying that these things don't have their merit and their value. If those relationships, if those are friendships that you value, and those are peers of yours that share your values, and this is good time to bond, then absolutely, of course, you know, that has its own level of importance. But I'm saying you need to evaluate that. So you can only have a couple of these things, and you need to really start budgeting your assets, your time, energy, and money. That's all you have. And now you can't add to your time, and energy has to be monitored and carefully spent. And then money, obviously, I hope that you're being a good steward of that. So since you can't control the time, you really need to be selfish with how you spend that. And then getting into task management, stress management. You know, anxiety, don't get me wrong, I feel for people. I've had my own experiences, but I feel like the majority of anxiety is just popular. It's a buzzword and it's a first world problem. Figure out how to deal with your anxiety, okay? And what that probably can consist of, and here's something I do, is I keep legal pads everywhere. On my desk at work, at my desk at home, near my bed. And if my brain starts flooding with everything that I need to do, I'm writing it down. I want to do a brain dump. I want to get that out of my head. And that's going to be part of the stress management. And then obviously working out is something I do to manage my stress. But it's not like you don't get stressed the rest of the day. It's not like I am able to channel all my stress and anger into the next lift. I mean, that's nice and all, but it's time for me, right? It's how I decompress. So being able to do the brain dump and then roll into the task management. And here's what I do. There's a book called Getting Things Done. I think it's a really good organization system, and it's a good approach on how to handle everything, especially when you have, you know, multiple areas of your life that demand things. So if you're a father and a spouse, you're a homeowner, you have a job plus a side business, there are tasks. And how do you keep all that organized? So I actually use Asana, and Asana is a web app, and it's also a mobile app. And I'll create projects and tasks in that, and it really keeps things organized. And I do it from my house. Like, I set up when the filters need to be replaced in the house, when the pest control guy. I take the time to take all those brain dumps, right? All the tasks that need to get done, and then organize those tasks inside Asana. It links to my phone. I have the tasks. I have the calendar. It's all there. So I don't have to stress about when things are due. It's literally going to remind me. As soon as I think about something, I open it, I put it in, have that annotation done. So in the mornings, either before I go to work or before I go to the gym, depending on what my schedule is for the day, I'm going to go through all my emails. I'm going to check my calendar, kind of see if there's any new tasks, anything that comes up that I need to add to that list. and then review my schedule for the day. And then I'm going to set somewhere between like 1 to 3 top priorities for the day. What couple things do I really want to focus on today? And it could be one thing, it could be 3 things, but honestly, I get into this habit of thinking I can accomplish so much in the day, and things usually take so much longer than I originally believe. So I have to focus on what couple of things have the most priority, or what has to get done today, right? What demands your attention. And then in mid-afternoon or towards the end of the day, before I'm done working for the day, I'll go back through my emails, I'll review my calendar again, and then add those tasks as necessary. And then with new tasks, things that come up, if it can be done in 2 minutes or less, I just get it done. Okay, like I'm not going to postpone that. I'm not going to delegate it. I'm just going to knock it out, get it done, get it off the list. Because the last thing you want to do is have a list that's just building up on top of you. So 2 minutes or less, yes, that's the rule. Seriously, 2 minutes. If it takes any longer than 2 minutes, then you need to schedule it as to when it's going to become a priority. And this might upset some people, especially where are my military folks? Hey, the projects, this has to get done today. Well, one, does it really merit that kind of priority? And then if you have so many conflicting things, you need to be able to have that crucial conversation with your boss, with your leader, and say, hey, you have all these different priorities. I need you to identify which one, how to rank those, so that I know where to put my attention, and I need to understand which of these is allowed to get dropped. So if you're juggling the balls, you've got the glass, wood, and rubber, right? Which one can't fall because the glass is going to break? The wood kind of bounces but gets dead, and the rubber is always going to bounce back, right? So you need to identify your priorities in that manner. But one thing I always do is there is a set time when work stops. And there's periods of the week where I just don't plan anything, because you have to allow for life. You have to allow for spontaneity. And when you have kids, that's true. You need to make sure that you set aside time for kids and spouse, and make sure that there's not things scheduled that's going to interrupt any kind of quality time that you can establish with them. And then, this video is getting long, and this can be something I write a book on, but honestly, this is the last thing, and this is to know yourself. And we talked about this a little bit in the communication. You need to spend time understanding who you are. And there's a book called Strength Finders 2.0, and it talks about how to identify your strengths and how to utilize them and leverage them to maximize your capability. But so many self-help books and so many mentors and everybody will be like, oh, you need to identify your weaknesses and improve those. No, screw that. You could spend years trying to improve the one little weakness that you have, and you might improve it by an iota or a very unrecognizable percentage. Empathy has always been marked as one of my weaknesses. So I've studied it, I've read it, I try to become empathetic, but it's just not who I am. Okay, If you are aware of your weakness and you are aware of how it impacts other people, then you can make sure that you do not become toxic or degrading, right? If you're aware of your weakness, then you need to learn how to complement that. So find somebody that can call you out on your weaknesses, somebody that has strengths in your weak areas, and bring them into the fold, right? That way you can leverage that person's strengths to complement for your weaknesses, and vice versa. Because very likely if someone else's strength is your weakness, it's the opposite, and reverse is true. And then learn how to enhance both. So enhance your own strengths, learn how to leverage someone else's strengths. So for me, that's really my wife, right? My wife is probably one of the most selfless, caring, and empathetic people in the world. Me, I'm pretty singularly focused. Some might call me self-centered, but I am task-driven. I'm not affected by external stressors. I'm just going to continue to move forward. It doesn't matter how much stuff's coming at me. We're going to keep driving forward. My wife is the kind of person that is going to sit and think of all the different things that could occur on the way, and then try to plan for all of them. So I've literally got to drag her and say, it's time. It's time to go. Stop thinking about it. Let's go. But at the same time, I need the person that's going to sit back and think, and that way I'm not surprised or not planned for the things that can be prevented from causing any level of destruction or degradation. So learn how to do that. Find those people in your life. If you're not married, partner up with somebody, right? You don't need another person that's like you. If you're an alpha, you don't need to be with another alpha. You need to find somebody that can enhance your weaknesses. So again, is this an all-inclusive list? No. I apologize for the terribly long video, but I hope that this is helpful to someone. Again, I hope it was more than just philosophy, a little bit of something you can apply and take home and employ in your own life. So if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. If you have things that you'd like me to elaborate on, hit me up and we'll get into that.